What's up, guys? Welcome back to K's Daily Programming. This is part 6 of our SQL fundamentals, and in today's video we'll be doing update. And if you haven't watched the first videos that we uploaded, I'll put the link to the full series in the description box below. And today's video will be a very short one, so without wasting any of your time, let's get straight into this. So in SQL we have what we call CRUD, which stands for create, read, update, and delete. And so far what we've been doing is we've been creating tables, we have been reading from tables, and in today's video we're going to be updating tables. So what update means, it's actually a way of modifying your data in your tables. If you watched all our videos, you know the tables that we have created so far. And in our previous video we created our students table, and if I just go to my database then go to tables, these are the tables that we created so far. But in the previous video we created this student table and we worked on it. We created our primary keys, our constraint, check, and default, and other constraints. And in this video we'll be updating the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new query. Like I've already said, SQL has what we call CRUD, and today we'll be dealing with the update part of it. So update is just a way of modifying your data in your tables. So if we just select from the table that we created previously, which is our students table, this is all the data that we have. So when you update your table, most of the time we update our table based on primary keys, on keys that uniquely identifies a row, because most of the time we just want to update to one row. Sometimes you might want to update more than one row, and that's where you can find something that identifies more than one row or identifies the rows that you want to update. So I'll give you an example of what an update actually is. So remember that Facebook name that you had when you were 13, and then you turned 21 and you realized, no, I have to change my Facebook name to something that it's 21 like. So, and you went and changed from that name to your new name. That is actually what an update does. It updates or modifies your record from what it is at the moment to something new, or to something that you're updating it to at that specific timing moment. An update statement goes something like this. It's update, then your table name. I'm just going to say TBL name. Then you set, let's say maybe you want to update your last name, then you say set last name is equal to, then you give it a value. And if you have a filter, then you just give it your where class where you want your update to apply to. So in today's video we'll be updating this table. So if you have watched our previous video, when we entered these two records, we didn't have the sign name for these two records. So let's say now it happens in an instant where we know the sign names of these people, or these people have an interface somewhere where they can update their information in this. They realize that, oh, the sign name is actually missing, the last name is missing, so they actually decide to update it. So that query will go something like this. So it will be update in our table name, which is our students, and then we want to set the last name is equal to the value that we'll be giving. Let's say we want to set it to young, and first I actually want to update the record of James, which is ST 2021 1004. So I'll have to add a where clause to specify that I only want to update this one record. So if I want to update that one record, I could just say where my student ID is equal to, then I just copy and paste the student ID there, and I just execute, and this will actually update this one record. Remember when we did primary keys? So primary keys are actually useful when it comes to situations such as updating your records, because this statement will look at this unique identifier and only update this record of James that does not have a sign name. So if we didn't have a unique identifier in your table, what you will have to do is you might have to use multiple columns to find a unique identifier. But if you just try to update without specifying your word class, all your records will be updated for whatever query that you are writing at that moment in time. So for now, let me show you an example of this. So what we want to do is to update this record of James to have a last name of Young. So our word class is the one that specified that only update a record where the student ID is equal to the student ID, and it is the James student ID. So let's just go and highlight that statement and press F5 so we can see one row affected. Like I said, if you're dealing with insert and it says one row affected, it means one row inserted. If you're dealing with update and it says one row affected, it means one row updated. So just go and query the table again. And now if we look at James has a surname now. So his surname is Young. So this is what we set our update statement to be, to update the row where the student ID is this and set the last name to Young. And we only have only one record that has a null value of a surname. So we actually want to update that one as well. So the statement will be the same as the one that we have at the top, but we'll only have to change your surname to whatever surname you want to set for that record, and the student ID for that specific record. So in this case, it's going to be update students. Then we set our last name is equal to, then you give it your last name value, and you say where student ID is equal to, then you copy the student ID of that record, the best innovation by mankind, copy and paste. Then now you run that and it tells you that one row was affected. And now if you go back to your table, you can see that those two records, they now have values. So the first one is for James that we updated, and the second one is for Billet that we updated. So with the update, like I said, it modifies the information that you already have in your table. And it's not like each and every time when you update, you have to update one specific column at a time. So imagine if you wanted to update a bullet surname and also the year at the same time, or registered. If you wanted to update multiple records, you can do that as well, but your update query will be a little bit different. So it will go something like this. It will be update student. This is always your table that you want to update. Then you set. Then now you list the columns that you want to update. So first, what you want to update is you want to update the last name. Let's set it to something different so that you can tell that it's been updated again. And you say comma and specify the next column that you want to update. So in this case, I also want to update the year. Want to move him from from third year to second year. And I say 2. Let me just put that in there like that. It will still go through if I don't put that in there, but I don't like it when I specify columns and it shows me that colors, because it tells me that it's a keyword, it's a SQL keyword. And I say 2, and I also want to update the register as well. So I say comma, and then I say the column that I want to update and give it the value of, now it's at 0, so let's give it the value of 1. And then we specify our where class, which is it's where our student ID is equal to this. So if you look at my statement, when it comes to numerical values, I don't put them in single quotes. This is something that I've mentioned in the previous videos, that it's not necessary to put your numeric values such as 1 and 2 in single quotes, because the system knows that it's a numerical value and doesn't really have to have a single quote. And if we run this statement, let's just go to execute, and now you can see that one row is affected. And let's look at our table now. So previously, Bullet had the very same surname, but it didn't have a 1. So you can see that it was updated from this statement. and it was on third year, now it's been updated to second year, and it was not registered, now it's updated to registered, or it was at 0, now it's been updated to 1. So you can actually update multiple columns at the same time, or you can actually update multiple records at the same time. So imagine if you wanted to make all the, let's say all the first year students to not registered. So at the moment, the only first year students that we have are these 3 records here at the bottom, and 2 of them is registered and 1 of them is not registered. So imagine if you wanted to make all the first year students not registered. So what you will do is you'll have to say update, say your table name, and the column that we want to update, it's registered, or the column that we want to change or modify, it's registered. And you said set registered. We want to make all the columns to 0, where then we find something that identifies, that commonly identifies all the first year students. So in this case, it's the year. So all the first year students, they have a year of 1, and you say where year is equal to 1, and then you run that query. Let's just read from our table again, and now you can see that 3 rows are affected. And if you remember from that table, we do have 3 first year students. So let me just select everything from our students table, and now you can see here that all of our first year students are not registered. So it's not that always when you update, you have to update 1 row or you have to update 1 column. You can update multiple rows, you can update multiple columns at the same time. It depends on how you set your where class to be. So if you run an update and it doesn't have a where class, so what's going to happen is it's going to update all of the records in that table for that specified columns, or maybe for those multiple specified columns. For an example, if I were to run this without the where class here, it will update all of the students in this table to not registered. So this is the same example that happens in the beginning of the year when all students go back to varsity. So remember, when you go back to varsity or your college in the beginning of the year, you have to register yourself when the year starts. Because remember, when the year starts, all the students in a varsity, they go back to not registered, and you have to re-register again when you go into maybe your second year, your third year, or so on and so on. So what happens there is, if I run this, and you can see that I didn't highlight this, or I can just cancel that. If I don't put a where clause and I just want to update students and set registered into 0 and run that query, you can see now that it says 11 rows were affected. And if I go back here, you can see that it updated all the records, because I didn't give it a where clause. I didn't specify what records I want to update. I just said update, so it updated everything. So like I said, this is going to be a short video, so that it's all on updates. So in the next video, I'll be showing you guys a foreign key, and we'll be working through an example. So if you have watched this far, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.